Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. I got another experiment coming to you straight from the Mushroom Dungeon, but actually we are starting out with a late night garage session. And I think it was right after I released my premature shiitakeulation video, a subscriber commented and said, "Hey, I'd really like to see you try and grow some shiitake on straw." So at that time, I actually had 4 fully colonized blocks of the straw shiitake strain from Mycelium Emporium, and I was going to go ahead and just fruit them on the sawdust, but I said, what the heck? I got some straw, pasteurized it, and decided to try a shiitake grow on straw. It was a interesting experiment. I don't know that I would be in a big hurry to do it again, but I did get some nice mushrooms in the end. So I pasteurized the straw just like I did in my bucket straw tech. Now I'm packing it into some large plastic bags. These are kind of like columns, actually. I zip tie them at the bottom and pack everything in there, zip tie them at the top, and they are about 12 inches in diameter. At this point, I already have all my spawn mixed in with the straw, and I'm just packing it into my column bag. So no more voiceover. The rest of the video is going to be live action, and I hope you guys enjoy the experiment. So that's about half my material there. I'm going to call it good. End up doing 2 bags. Get them as tight as you can. Takes a little elbow grease to get them nice and tight. Pop another zip tie on them. Cut off the excess. And we just gotta stab them full of holes. Do a couple on the bottom in case we have some excess moisture needs to drain off. And that's it. All right, this is what we ended up with, guys. Just a couple big mega bags of straw sawdust mixer. So we're just gonna incubate them in our garbage cans that I have some 2-inch holes drilled in, stuffed with polyfill, just to give them a little air exchange. I'm gonna put the lids on, keep them nice and dark, and we'll just monitor the colonization. I really have no idea what to expect. I've never tried this before in terms of, you know, what we're gonna do for pinning, fruiting, but we'll just figure it out as we go along. Hopefully they white up nice for us, and we'll see if they popcorn like the sawdust blocks usually do. Really don't know what to expect. So we're just gonna wing it, see how it turns out. All right, it's time to check up on our shiitake straw blocks. These have been incubating in the dark for 3 weeks in our dedicated garbage can incubators here, and they're getting lumpy. I've been peeking at them a few times, and they're getting some lumps on them. I don't know if it's popcorning or if it's pins. It's kind of hard to tell here in the tote, so I'm going to pull these out and try and get a better look at them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh them first. I want to see what our full weight is on these straw blocks, and then I'm going to move them into some clear plastic totes up on the tabletop so we can get a little better look at them. Man, they feel pretty heavy. 22 pounds. So call it 20 ish. Sure, the other one's similar. Take a little closer look at our block here. You can see those lumps all up and down the sides. It almost looks like popcorning to me. Some of them are kind of pin-esque, I would say, but it may just be some popcorning going on too. You can see there's a little excess moisture dripping off. I have a couple of these 105 quart Sterilite totes set up with our polyfill balls on the table. I'm going to set the blocks in here sideways. Obviously, they're not going to fit vertically, Just gonna lay them down sideways, and I'm gonna cut the zip ties on either end to give them some extra airflow. I'm really just kind of winging it here because there isn't a lot of information online about growing shiitake on straw. So I'm just kind of going for it and going with what little bit I know about growing shiitake on sawdust. They will have a little airflow. I'm going to leave the lids on these totes, but they will have a little airflow through the holes with the polyfill, obviously. So we'll just see how it reacts. We may get some more popcorning, we may get some browning, we may have pins start, in which case I'll just be removing some plastic and setting the pins free, and we'll just hope for the best. Alright, so I'm just going to leave them like that. I'm going to put the lids back on the totes, and I will check back in with you when something happens. Alright, it's been a couple weeks since our last update on our shiitake straw blocks. You can see we got some serious condensation going on the lids of our tubs. And we've had some fairly serious developments here too, so let me show you guys what's going on. So I just had the ends opened up initially, and the rest of the block was still wrapped in plastic, but what I noticed is all these little brown pins started to emerge and press against the plastic. So I just took a sharp pair of scissors, slid it across the top, opened it up, peeled the plastic away from the straw a little bit, and now we have pins popping everywhere. You can see this block in particular is really loaded up with pins on top. So I'm going to put another tub upside down on top of this tub, just make a nice, somewhat enclosed fruiting chamber. As I mentioned, polyfill balls in all the holes except the 4 on the bottom of each tub. That'll allow the CO2 to vent out the bottom. We know CO2 is heavier than air, so that'll give us a little bit of fresh air exchange, and hopefully these will develop nicely. We just have our 6500K fluorescence going 12 on, 12 off. Super easy setup, just a tub on top of a tub, but that should give our blocks some extra room. Hopefully our fruit bodies will develop nicely, so we will check back in a week and see how we're doing. Alright guys, check it out. This is about 10 days of growth on our shiitakes, and I actually got some really nice large quality fruits. So I'm about to harvest and consume my first shiitakes on straw, so I'm pretty excited. I did get quite a few aborts and weird looking pins as well. I was expecting that, especially on the first flush. Probably a result of too high of a nutrient content, too early pinning, combination of both. But I got some nice quality fruits going on both blocks. So I'm going to get a decent harvest here. See, our other block there is a little bit behind, but still has some nice big shiitakes on it. So my plan is to harvest these fruits in the next day or two, and then I'm just going to clean the block up. I'm going to take off all those pins, weird mutants, aborts, and everything, get rid of them. And then I'm just going to let these sit at ambient conditions. I'm going to get them out of the tubs, let them dry out, and just chill for about a week or so. And then I'm going to try and soak them to induce a second flush. And with straw, you don't have to soak as long. Typically around 3 to 4 hours is fine. And so we'll let them chill for a week, and then we'll give them a soak and see if we can get a nice second flush. About to get our pick on in 60 FPS here. So take these big boys in the front. These are stuffers. Look at that. That's a beautiful shiitake. That's a stuffer there. I always try and trim them as close to the substrate as I can get. This one up here looks pretty good. Not bad, not bad. This is block number 2, guys. It looks a little better actually. Not great, but better. Kind of a weird looking dude, but we'll take it. A couple decent ones there. Same thing on this block too. A lot of aborts. Weird looking little mutant fruits and stuff too. Kind of a weird one there. A little bit of a mutant. I'm just gonna weigh up our first flush. Pretty meager first flush, but we did get some decent shiitakes. So around a pound and a half first flush. Not a lot of mushrooms, very large, dense mushrooms. So pretty meager, very meager first flush for the weights of these blocks. But we'll see what happens after we let them rest for a week and give them a soak. Maybe our second flush will be outstanding and make up for our meager first flush. But I'm gonna eat these, see how they taste. Kind of interested. I've never eaten shiitake that were grown on straw, so be interesting to see what the flavor's like as well. These are so big, I might just stuff them. We'll check back in a week or so when we're ready to soak these blacks. All right, guys, we are set up outside for our soak. Our straw blocks have been chilling for about a week, and I did notice they started to develop some pins towards the end of the week. So I think they're ready to produce some mushrooms for us here. But we're going to give them a good cool water soak for about 3-4 hours, and hopefully that'll get them rip roaring. We'll get a bunch of really nice shiitakes on our second flush. So you have to be a little creative when you're soaking these things because they do float very aggressively. So I'm just using a dumbbell, 30-pound dumbbell, to hold the lid of the cooler down. You can see the lid pops right up when I take that off. And this is the same setup I use for my straw hot water pasteurization. It's got this filled full of hose water, and I let it sit for a few hours just to off gas any residual chlorine that might be in there. Put my blocks in, plywood on top. Got a couple ice packs in there just to keep the water cool. And so as long as we have this cooler shut, we should be rocking and rolling, but definitely have to put a weight on top. Hold that down, keep everything submerged, and we'll just let it go in there for 3-4 hours. Then I have some plastic racks. I'm going to sit them on, let all the residual moisture drip off, let them air dry just a little bit. I don't want them totally soggy when I move them back down to the fruiting tubs. And then we'll get them back down the basement and see what happens for our second flush. This is the second flush off of one of my blocks. The other one looks about the same as this one. It's just a little bit behind. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one off and wrap this video up. I'll show you the back side here. There's a couple big ones on the back side as well. See there, couple really nice big boys on the back side there too. So we'll pick these off and weigh them. The block did brown up quite a bit after that soak as well. So the other block did the same thing. That was kind of interesting. I didn't get a lot of shiitakes, but I got some absolute monsters. These are some really big ones. I'm thinking the second flush is going to weigh a little more than the first one did. We'll pick them off and see. I'm probably going to compost these after this. They probably will continue to produce mushrooms. I mean, you probably could do 3 or 4 flushes at least with these things, but I need to make room for some other experiments. Get the scale fired up here. We'll get picking. Giant cluster there. So that's about it, guys. Everything else is mutants and aborts, but got about 1 pound 12 ounces on the second flush. So pretty nice second flush. So yeah, we're gonna call it a video here, guys. It was an interesting experiment. I would say if I do it again, I'll probably do a little smaller blocks just because they're easier to handle. These are kind of heavy to carry around, and they would probably keep producing for you. But I just need to make room for some more experiments. So I'm just gonna compost these, call it quits. I will definitely enjoy eating my second flush. But all in all, I would say if you have the right strain, you can definitely grow shiitake on straw if that's what you have available. It's less messy, and I would say, you know, not so many aborts and mutants and stuff if you grow them on my pasteurized fuel pellet process, which I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. That's my favorite way to grow shiitakes. The pasteurized fuel pellet process is really simple too. Not as messy as with straw. But if you want to do this just as an experiment, or you really, you know, you have straw available for free or very cheaply, then yeah, go ahead and do it. You can definitely pull it off. So hit me up in comments, guys. Let me know what you think. and I will catch you next video.